Welcome to Aliens with JW, the podcast where aliens have conversations with humans. For today's show, we have a special guest, my good friend Mark. He's a amazing graphic designer and a father raising the next generation. Mark, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Alien Joshua Washington, Alien JW. Um, I'm so glad to be here.
I'm happy you made it. You happy you be on my show. I'm happy you're here. Let's start. Let's start with the first question. Like, how did you first get into graphic design?
Oh, man. Um, I think I liked graphic design before I knew what graphic design was. I remember like maybe some of my first like real interactions with graphic design was buying CDs when I was like 13, 14, I remember like buying like Linkin Park's Reanimation, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like this like cool alien robot that's on like the cover of Reanimation, and then you can flip through the album art. It's all these like awesome alien robot things. It looks like this is like it almost looks like you're seeing like images from a story, like there was like a movie or some sort of like bigger narrative about it, and then you listen to the songs, and then the songs kind of like tie into that narrative and that story. I remember there was that the Indian remix, the intro, it goes like, in the beginning there was just Linkin Park, and in the middle there was Motion Man, and in the end it's Commaster Kurt with a remix, and then you have like the alien robot artwork in my like child mind. Like I was like kind of building these like expanded worlds, and then there's the music videos that dropped as well. So you watch the music videos, and it kind of like combines into this, I don't know, like this like fan fiction of this like alternate reality in your head, and yeah, that was just like super inspiring to me. And like Gorillas did a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So it was just cool how like you could have like some images, some text, some sound, maybe a little bit of video, and like the sum of it in your head becomes like so much more than just like those kind of like discrete little points. And yeah, I don't think I like understood it as design back then. I was just like into it, but yeah.
That sounds like how like I first started as being an artist. Like I was like just drawing and growing up in New Orleans, like always around art, and I didn't know that I was really immersed with art until I got older, and I was like, why am I an artist? And then I started looking back in my heritage where I came from. I was like, art was always around me, and I just didn't realize what it was until I got older.
Hmm. So what kind of ways was like art always around you? Like
Oh, like
yeah.
my mom was a singer actually. My mom was a singer. My dad actually was an artist. He's an artist, but he don't say he's an artist. But my dad is an artist. He can draw. He makes his own characters out of aluminum foil. And so like I was always around art, and I just never called it art. It just was like spending time with my family, really.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting, right? Like you didn't call it art. You just spending time with your family. So you say like art was just something you did, or was it just like part of your life?
Yeah, it's just part of my life. It's something I did. Because like most of my family members, they were all artists and they were singers and performers. And this was like quality time.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it was kind of, yeah. I mean, I kind of relate to that as well. I think that's probably like the bright the like I was imagining like the light side and dark side to that. Like this that's like the light side of it. Like art is just something you
Yeah.
did. It's just like extension of you, an extension of your
Mhm.
relationships with other people. But like I feel like there was also like a dark side for me, where like art was like my ego. Art was like my desire to prove myself. Art was like something I did in order to like show people that I was like better than them, or like special or something. I don't know. Did you ever feel that way?
I would say I felt that way with sports, actually.
Mm,
It was kind of like when you start playing sports, it's just like a am I I'm proving to myself or like it's like my internal my the good side and the dark side is that I'm good, but I want to be better than everybody else. And like through my art form and expression, how I carried myself, kind of like so I would kind of say like sports is a form of performance arts in a way,
mm,
kind of.
yeah. And did you feel that competitiveness like helped you in sports, or did you feel like kind of got in the way?
I would say it helped me the competitive aspects of it because
Mm,
of like it kind of like helped me care more about who I was. It kind of like make me have more confidence in myself as a person growing up. You know, as you get older, having self confidence is like super important, like how you carry yourself, how you feel
mm,
about yourself. Because think at our age, there's nobody telling you, "Hey, you're amazing at what you do."
mm.
Most of the time, you just do, especially right now. I'm dressed as an alien. Not that many people are going to tell me like, "Hey, you should do that. You're a grown up, dress up as an
Mm,
alien." Like most people are not going to say, "Hey, you should do that." So
mm. What made you want to do this podcast as an alien as opposed to as yourself?
oh yeah, because of like I always like was into like creating characters, and so one day I decided to like actually create real life wearable characters. And
Mm,
like I know I grew up watching Sesame Street, I grew up watching like Barney and different shows like that. And I was like, one day I actually want to create my own show where I'm dressed as a character. And so this how kind of that idea came from that perspective.
mm. Tell me about this character. Who are you right now?
Oh, this is my, I would say, you know what? You know how you talk about alternative egos or alternative personalities?
Mm, mm,
This is my alternative version of myself. Like it's JW, but an alien version of me.
mm. So how is this alternative version of you different or similar?
Oh, I would say it's very similar to me, but I would say it's a little different in regards to it allows me to express myself in ways I would not express myself if I was not behind a mask.
Mm. Like um like how would you like say something different and like you would normally say, or would you like act in a different way?
Yeah. Oh, so I do something called like animal flow, and that's
Mm,
something I would never do on camera. But dressed as JW as the
mm,
alien, I would do animal flow on live camera. I haven't done it yet, but I will be doing it. Like even dancing in public, I will be dancing in public doing dance routines. That's something
mm,
I would not do as Joshua, but I would do as JW.
mm. So JW is allowed to do things that Joshua can't do, kind
Yes, he's allowed to do things that Joshua would not do or feel comfortable doing.
of. Mm. That's cool. You know one detail about the JW mask that I like is the eyes. You know, like that. Like now I'm seeing it, I recognize it in a lot of your work. Like these like kind of subtle heart shapes. You know.
Yeah, and that's also what it came from. Like
Mm,
the expression of love, like we
mm,
all have hearts, we all express ourselves in a certain way. So I was like, it would be cool that you have hearts as eyes, so it's like friendly and it's all about love. So I like kind of like put it together that way.
nice. And I like the kind of white paint hair. I don't know if they call it hair, like or like a hair pattern, and it kind of comes down and around the nose. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
concept actually came from a fox. So when I
Mm,
was creating this character, I
mm,
actually was thinking about foxes and like I was looking at hedgehogs and I was looking at beavers. Now,
mm,
one
mm,
thing I look at a fox, it was like a fox had that little same color, little kind of orange, and it had a little part here. So the
mm.
design for this came from a fox, actually.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What planet is JW from? How did JW arrive on Earth?
So, oh yeah, so JW is actually from the planet Appleway.
Up boy. That's from
Yeah,
your books, right? Kind of that kind of
yes,
sounds
he's from the
familiar. Yeah,
planet
yeah.
Appleway.
Mm,
and it's a far out universe, but it's similar to Earth. They're like humanoid aliens,
mm,
and they have similar lives as humans, but they're on a different planet.
mm,
And actually, the funny thought about Appaway, where the name comes from, I actually grew up on a street called Appaway Place.
mm,
And that's actually where I drew my first characters ever.
mm, mm.
So that's where that whole concept of being creative really started coming from, and me actually drawing for the first time, like really
Mm,
drawing characters.
man. Oh, you saying you should that you want to get Sam in the podcast. You should ask her about Salmonster.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah. She had like she grew up. She had like all these drawings of a town called Salmonster. You can ask her about it. She'll tell you about it. But it kind of sounds like similar in concept. Like this fictionalized version of like where you grew up. You know.
yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to
Mm,
ask Sam that when I get her on the
mm, mm,
show.
mm.
I'm definitely gonna ask. So I think for you is like when you're being a creative person yourself, like did you always like did you like regards to happening as being a designer for a career, is that something you always saw yourself wanting to do?
Ah, oh, I honestly like for most of my life feel like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I remember like I was like finishing in a high school and trying to decide what to do for college. And I was just kind of like going through the subjects I did in high school, and I was sort of like, well, art's the one I hate the least, or like, it's like, well, this is like, the one I can tolerate the best. So I'll just do that for college. And then I went to art school. And I think it became clear, like we went to like even for art schools, it was like quite unconventional art school. It was like a lot of not a lot of focus on technique, a lot of focus on like concepts and like doing weird art. And I think it became like quite clear that I wasn't going to make a living doing what I was doing at school. So I kind of knew like getting out of school that there'd be some sort of pivot. I also really liked like the design, in like art galleries. Usually you like see a gallery show and there's like, all the artwork on the walls, but then there's also like some nice wall text with like the sticker, like when they like do that, it was like meticulous text stickers. Every single letter is like a, perfect little sticker on the wall. And like they have those like booklets, it's all like nicely put together. And and that kind of stuff kind of like got me going, sometimes even more than the artwork, like a well put together like exhibition design, like all those like design materials that came with the show. And yeah, maybe like about halfway through art school I kind of decided that like something along the lines of design and tech would be what I'd be interested in. Also, my mom worked in advertising, so she wasn't a designer, but she was like what they call like client servicing, so sort of like project managing and like working the relationships with the clients.
Yeah.
So she was kind of familiar with like what designers do in that world. So there was this kind of like, I guess like natural path for me to become a designer, because like my parents kind of knew what that was and they kind of understood that. Although I will say one thing I'm kind of proud of is I've never gotten a job through my parents' connections. So like all my past employers and current employers I got through like my own outreach. So like I do have a lot of like I am blessed, and I do have like a lot of certain privileges. I'm not saying like I came up from nothing or anything like that, but like at least it wasn't so blatant as like, oh, I got my first job because my parents knew someone or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, your story is very similar
Mm,
because, like, my parents have a lot of
mm,
connections as well. I just
mm,
never talk about it. So I've never really used my parents' connections or my parents or my family's name or my uncle's name or my grandpa's names. If I did it, I could have used it. It would have helped me a
mm.
lot in my career. But I
Yeah,
decided to
yeah,
like
yeah.
just like you to path to pave my own way and figure it out on my own as well. So like I think our stories are very similar in that way as well.
Yeah, and not that it's anything like wrong, but there's not even like not even a hard line, you know. It's like, you know, no one's truly self-made. You know what I mean? Similarly, no one's completely like it. There's no such thing as someone that's 100% nepotism. You know what I mean? Like you know, if you're completely incompetent, all the connections in the world won't get you anywhere. You know what I mean? So like, there's no such thing as like fully one way or the other. I feel like, you know.
And also looks like sounded like your mom also inspired you as well. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think one thing that my mom really inspired me with is she's like always been very much like, you need to articulate yourself really well, you need to communicate really clearly, whatever it is that you're doing, you know, like anything you want to do, like the ability to speak well will never, like, you know, guide you wrong, whatever. So I think I get that from her. Although I don't think I sound very articulate right now, but yeah, I think getting the value of just clearly communicating what's going on in your head, I definitely got that from her.
And that leads me to my next question. What inspires your work the most right now?
Ah, these days I'm like really not an ideas guy at all. Like I feel like when I was younger, I had a lot more like things I wanted to say. Um, Now mainly just like having conversations, being presented with problems, and then trying to like respond appropriately, you know. um so like, I don't know, at work, you know, I work for a tech company doing like a very dry app design. You know, it's the kind of like B2B app that's just creating a lot of forms. I don't want to get too into it, but imagine like tax forms, you know, something that level of like boring, you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
if I can design a text tax form that is maybe a little bit less painful to do, you know, that, you know, maybe you can get through a little bit more efficiently, that asks you less repetitive questions, is a little bit less confusing, that kind of thing, then I've like done my job well. um so it's a lot of like kind of like, what do people need to do and how can I like make life like just a little bit easier for them. um and yeah, I just feel like at least at this stage in my life, like my work is best when I try to like take myself out of it and just like try to solve the problem as succinctly as possible. Um, yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does. Because like
Mm.
right now, I think as and being artists, I think we all go through transitions or stages in our career. Like sounds like right now
Mm.
you're in that strategic, how do I solve a problem for my client? How do I provide those values that's going to help them get their end product that they want? Which is
Yeah,
also, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's I do like truly feel like it's like that's like my whole life. It's not just for clients, or it's not just my job. You know, it's like whether it's my work setup or my body, like trying to like optimize things, you know, optimize, like you know, now with my wife and my child and not having grandparents there, we're like very small amounts of time to do a lot. So there's a lot of just like optimizing that. Sorry, I use that term again, but you know, whether it's trying to make this sustainable for us, you know, health wise, to be able to like reach our goals, or to, you know, make some time so that we can, you know, still kind of like survive to the next day. um and I think there's a lot of creativity in that, you know, like necessity is the mother of invention, so to speak, you know. So like trying to just you know, do fulfill necessities in an elegant way, I suppose.
Oh, that, like, I like how you talk about fatherhood, and that leads us into my next question. How has
Mhm.
fatherhood impacted your career choices or the type of projects you work on now?
Oh man. Shit, dude. Fatherhood impacted a lot. So like before we had our child, remember so Sam and I, we had like our own like s- started, our own startup design company that we were trying to like launch, this agency, and we were trying to find clients, and we're having some trouble gaining some traction. And we probably could have just like kept going, and like maybe struggling, and maybe like after a few years of struggling, maybe we would have picked up. But she was also pregnant, and we were living in the middle of nowhere, and we had to uproot and move to Tucson, and I had to like find a job stat, and that led me to an agency and a startup, and now like two more startups later, that's here. I'm here now. So I feel like I don't know, there was like one way I was kind of wanting to things to go, but then like fatherhood just kind of like pushed me in a slightly different way. I do feel like I get a lot more done with less now. I do feel like while my life is incredibly monotonous, I do get a lot of fulfillment out of it. Um, it's like, you know, you ever have what are they even called? Nerds. You ever have nerds?
Yes, nerds, yes.
Like, yeah, yeah. And they're like those like really, really tiny like grains of like sweetness, right?
Yes.
And you can either like just like grab a handful and just like shove it in your mouth and like start chewing, or you can just like suck on one of them at a time, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel like before fatherhood, I feel like if like my time or my life was like nerds, I was just like chewing on many, like I had like so much time to do nothing, you know what I mean? Um, but like after fatherhood, like, I'm like sucking every single like nerd grain dry, you know what I mean?
Oh man, that's so funny. That's so funny, but it's so real. It's so real.
Yeah.
What is like one parenting moment that makes you reminds you of why you do what you do?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I mean, my child Tilda, she is just really really cute, and I know like every parent probably thinks that of their child, but like my child, like Tilda, is the cutest thing. And if you're ever feeling like frustrated or like whatever parenting, you just look at her, like really look at her, and be like, oh my god, like this is, I can't believe she's here. You know what I mean? And like sometimes that just like takes you out of it. You just like take a moment, you stop, you look at her, and she doesn't even have to be like doing anything. I mean, like, I mean, yeah, of course moments where she does something that's like cool, you're like, whoa, she just did that. But like, even if she's just sitting there being herself, you're like, oh wow, she's here. you know
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
yeah. And I think that actually leads to my next question. What's the most rewarding part of being a father?
Ah, man, for me, I just feel like I'm probably more myself today than I've ever been, and I think being a father has been a big part of that. Um, but it's also so different, like, you know, work, parenting, like everything's different for everyone. Like, I remember I had like a conversation with a guy once, and like this was like shortly after Tilda was born, and I was just like gushing all about like this experience and that experience, and dad this and that, and my daughter this, my daughter, and at the end of the conversation he was like, oh, I'm a dad too, by the way. like my daughter lives with like her baby mama or whatever. You know? Like, he just sounded like he couldn't give a shit. But but then again, like, you know, who am I to judge? Like, from what I understood, like he had his baby at a very young age, you know, and I'm sure the situation is like completely different, you know. So, you know, it's like I can't say like, you know, my experience is indicative of like every dad. I mean, I'm sure like every parent, you know, it's your bond with your kid is like, you know, I feel like so crunchy using this word, but it's sacred. You know what I mean? You know, it's one of a kind. Your child is one of a kind. You are one of a kind. That bond is one of a kind, and no one can ever take that away from you. You know, but it looks different from it for everyone. You know.
Yeah, like it reminds me of what my mom was saying to me all the time. She was like, children come with no don't come with a book. So like
Yep.
every
Yep.
kid needs different things and every
Mm,
kid is unique in their own way. And that
mm,
relationship is so unique from a in every child. Like I have like I have an older brother, younger sister,
mm,
and our relationship with our parents is totally different from one another. And our
yeah.
relationship is totally different. And it's
Mm,
very one of those things that we really enjoy and we're happy that our parents raised us the way that they raised us with that unique sacred bond that you would talk about.
yeah. I mean, I know for you, like nurturing. Sorry, it sounds weird phrasing, but nurturing children or nurturing younger people is a very important part of your life, right? I mean, you're a teacher, and even, you know, when we've like known each other for years, we've always like talked about that a lot. You know, where do you think that comes from for you?
It comes from my mom actually. My mom is a super nurturing person. She's a nurse.
Mm,
And my mom would just always say stuff like, you gotta care about the people you wrong. You gotta care about the world. Like, 'cause how you carry yourself is a reflection of you, but not just a
mm,
reflection of you, it's a reflection of your family. And so my mom was always super nurturing and like in the community. Like my mom and my parents do outreach ministry where they go out and help people all the time. So I think growing up around that type of environment just kind of like
mhm.
became part of who I am.
Nice. So like, so kind of like your mom sort of instilled it in you, right? And how do you feel like, because I know you've been like a coach, you've been like in HR, which is, I mean, HR, and if you think about it, that is sort of nurturing in a corporate way. And
Yeah, I would
yeah, and
say
then
like,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
would you
go on.
say?
No, I was just gonna say, and then now you're a teacher, you know, like I was just seeing like, how do you think your relationship with this like role has grown, I guess.
Yeah, I would say the role is grow. I think the way you like my career path, I think I would say every job that I've ever had was
Mm,
strategic around helping other people.
mm, mm, mm,
Like when you're coaching basketball, you're helping other people achieve their goals. When you're
mm,
doing recruit HR recruiting, you're basically working with individuals to figure out what their wants and what their needs are to help them achieve their goals, which is in
mm,
turn helping people. Teaching is very similar to where you're working with students, you're trying to help them figure out who they want to become and also figure out
mm,
how can you help them achieve their goals for the short term and long term. So I think the inspiration that my parents gave me, I think it's always been embedded and even to all the career choices I ever had and ever made.
mm. And how do you think it relates to art? Like, you know, I guess I'm asking you, but I'm also like asking for myself, wondering like, you know, how do you think like nurturing and art are related? You know?
I would say, oh, this is actually
Mm,
so interesting, right?
mm,
If you can draw a stick figure, you're an artist.
mm,
If the art is also about finding your own voice and finding your own style and
mm,
becoming comfortable in who you are. So through art, you can experiment, you can find out who you are and find your own voice. And once you find your own voice in art, now it's trying to figure out how do you translate that into everyday life to express yourself the way that you want to express yourself. If you write
mm,
poetry, it's like a freedom for expression. But now, how do you express yourself in poetry that freely in everyday experiences?
yeah. Yeah, I would say like, so it's like how do you express yourself freely in everyday experiences? Yeah, no, it's like lately I've been trying to like draw more, like just in like a sketchbook, and it's been one of the hardest things is like sitting down and being like, what am I gonna draw? You know, like it's not that I don't know how to draw. It's just like, ooh, you know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, and then also like yeah, it's also much or like you know you're saying like if you can draw a stick figure, you're an artist. I feel like it's also like if you're willing to draw a stick figure all the time or as much as you can, you know, or at least on like a semi-regular basis, you know, like maybe it's also much about ability, it's about will, you know. But
Yeah, I could say that. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, I could think about the will because, like, I think about it when I created my graphic
Mm,
novels. Like,
mm,
I've been
mm,
drawing for a long time, but then I was like, I need to find one or two characters that I'm okay with drawing 1,000
mm,
times or to
mm, mm,
2,000 times, and I like drawing that character that many times. And then once I
mm.
found the character that I was willing to draw that many times, I created my graphic novels in my book series.
Yeah. And what you learn from like drawing the characters so many times, like you like kind of like get closer with the characters or you know kind of absorb them into you as you drew them more.
I would say the more I drew the characters,
Mm,
the more I started realizing that I was putting parts of me in each character that I drew. And just like these little weird subtleties about myself that I was putting in them, behaviors, mannerisms, their tone, the way that they spoke. I was like, even though it's like it's not it's a fictional world, there are
mm,
some parts of truth behind every character that's in it. So like fighting scenes. I started training doing boxing,
mm,
weightlifting. They were doing like I was used to do CrossFit. So when they're working out, they're doing CrossFit workouts.
mm,
The relationship with Rain and the Peaceful Warrior. That's kind of like interestingly, parts of it is based off me and my dad's relationship, which is really cool to
mm,
where when Rain is going through problems, his dad would sit down and talk with him. The same way my dad would sit down and talk with me when I was a little kid growing up and help me figure out problems and solve problems and encourage me to be the best that I can.
mm. Man, I should read the rest of your books.
The by you by you coming on this podcast,
Mm.
I will gift you the books. By the way, you get a
Nah,
free
dude,
gift.
no, no. I should. I'll pay full price. Don't. Don't need. Don't need. I'll just support your projects. You know.
This is supported by projects, so you know it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We figure it out. We figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like we probably could talk forever. I know we can because we're friends.
Mm,
So like I have a few for this last part. I'm gonna
mm,
ask you some random questions. And so the first thing that comes to you,
mm.
what is your favorite dad joke?
All right. This is the first thing that came to me. I guess. I was like talking to a neighbor that I hadn't met. You know, I was just like walking around the neighborhood, met this guy, and you know, it just like, oh, I live here, and you know, and he asked me, "What are you doing in the neighborhood?" And I said, "I'm raising a family." I don't know if it's very funny, but it was just like wild to me that I could say that, you
Oh, man. Uh, the next will be if your kid could describe you in one word, what do you think they would say?
know. mm, well, guess I guess she would say riffraff. I feel like that she said that word recently. And it was cute. She went riffraff. So,
Complete the sentence. Being a dad means what?
Sacrifice.
Mm. And then the last question, is there anything you would like to share before we end the show?
Mm. Uh, I just I just want to share like how grateful I am to be a friend, JW and Joshua. You know, like we I mean we used to be neighbors, and like now we live in different states, and we've been living in different states for like years now, but we still talk. And a lot of it's because of you, which I really appreciate, that like you've never really gave up on me. And so I also never really gave up on you, and like as I get older, that's like becoming a lot more rare in my life, at least. And it just means the world to me. So thanks, man. Uh, yeah.
Thank you, brother, as well, man. Like you're one of my really good friends, and I think as we get older, it's really hard to really find really good friends. Because I think
Yeah.
as you start turning around, like in college, I knew a lot of people, but then after
Yeah.
college, I realized my friends very few of them were really like my best friends and people that I kept in touch with on a regular day basis. And then I think now that I'm the age that I'm at, I was like, I cherish my friendships I have with people, and I feel like these people are going to be part of my lives for the rest of my life. And I got to make this summer or during this year, I got to come visit you and hang out with the
Mm.
family as well.
Yeah, shit, it comes to Tucson. Yeah, that'd be awesome to have you.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah. No, sorry, I could keep going on, but I could keep going on, but um, yeah, I do want to say like some of those old friends like oh maybe this is time to cut it up. My little girl is also she's
Oh,
not
that's
wearing
so.
pants, so I don't know if you need a
Yeah, so,
census.
yeah. So like, oh my God, like yeah. Let's wrap it up. Like, well, that's a wrap for today's show. Huge thank you to Mark for taking the time. Let me even do the hey Sam, how you doing, Sam? I saw you in the background.
Transformed. That's pretty amazing. It can be anyone in this.
Yeah, it is Josh.
Are you sure?
It's me.
I feel like the suits have evolved over the years,
There you go. That's awesome. Really cool, Josh.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
so while I have you here,
I can't hear you, but I do love it. I can't. Mark has
oh, you
headphones.
can't hear me, but I'm waving at you. Let's wrap up the show right quick. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Huge thank you to Mark for taking the time to come on my show. If you like the
All right.
conversation, feel free to share the video with a friend or a loved one. Until next time on Aliens with JW, the podcast where aliens have conversations with humans.
Bye.
I'm
Bye.
trying. Sorry. We're just tell that.